Emails are the new trend. Well, you could call it a trend or a need. We have shifted from normal letter writing to email writing. All communication, conversation happens over email these days. Hi, I'm Mithra from English Mithra, and in this video, I'm going to tell you some really important things about email etiquette. So let's get started. The first tip for an email etiquette is a proper subject line. You must not make your subject lines too huge or too long. Just make them appropriate enough for the person to understand. People get many mails in a day. It is not possible for them to read through each long subject line. For example, if you are applying for a leave, just write leave requisition. If there is a meeting, you can just mention meeting at so-and-so time. Let's move on. The second etiquette is a professional email address or a professional email ID. Refrain from keeping your email IDs as Romeo or Thinking or Lover or Princess. Those are not proper email etiquettes. Keep a very professional name with your full name, and if possible, you could keep numbers and your company initial. Let's move on to the third email etiquette, which is including a signature. Now, this is very important. Once you've written your mail, you must always mention a signature. And the signature must contain your name. If you're a working professional, your designation, your email address, your contact information, as well as your LinkedIn ID if you wish to give it to people. If you are a student, please mention your course, your roll number, and other student details. Let's move on to the next email etiquette, which is no caps, which means whenever you are writing an email, please do not use full capital letters. You can start a sentence with a capital letter, which you must as per the grammatical rules, but do not use a complete caps model. Why? Because in the written form, it means you are shouting at the other person. Moving on, the fifth rule we have is no shorthand. Please do not use a complete letter U instead of YOU. We do not use short forms when we are writing formal letters or formal emails. The next rule as an email etiquette is that you must always be very polite. Now, why should you be polite? When a reader reads your email, they should always think that you have written it in a very subtle manner. It should not portray any anger or any hatred. Moving on, the next point in our email etiquette we have is be careful while replying to all. Sometimes in companies, you have multiple people tagged in the same email. The mail might not be relevant to so many people. So whenever you are replying, make sure whether you require reply all or not. Moving on to our next email etiquette is acknowledging mails. If there are mails which are referred to you in specific, you must always take care to acknowledge them. Acknowledge that you have received that mail. The 10th etiquette rule is add email addresses last. Once you have read the complete email again and again and you have formed it properly, only then add the email addresses. If you add the email address first and by mistake you click on the send button, it is going to create a little problem for you. The next email etiquette is proofreading each time. Yes, it is very important. However pro you are, how many ever mails you might have written, but it is important to go through each and every mail. You should not send any mistakes in emails. The next point of etiquette is keep fonts normal. Do not put too big fonts or too small fonts. It should be a standard format. Also, if you want to highlight some things, you could use highlights or you could underline a few things, but do not keep the font too big or too small. Moving on, we have provide a warning for attachments, which is you must always put a line, please find the attachment, or if there are too many attachments, make a note of what all are the attachments and you can number it or write it point-wise. Coming on to the next email etiquette is label attachments correctly, which is very important. When a person downloads, there could be similar names and they could get confused. So you must always make sure that you label all attachments correctly and appropriately. Do not use short forms because the other person might not be able to understand what your short forms mean. So please write completely. I hope these etiquettes will be useful for you in your everyday lives. Please use them more often. I am Mithra, wrapping up this session from English Mithra.